Hey y'all, I'm Heather and welcome to my channel, The Debt Free Quilter. Now we're fresh off Halloween. Yeah, still wearing the shirt. Never not gonna wear the shirt. And we're gearing up for the rest of the holiday season. Y'all know what I'm talking about, and it don't involve a turkey. That's right, what does everybody start thinking about this time of year? I'll give you a hint. There's usually lots of candy canes. That's right. We're going to learn to make some small, not super tiny, but small Christmas stockings for gifts. If there's that one person you don't know what to get them, but you want to make them something like this would be perfect. And then you can stuff it with gift cards or candy or scratch off lotto ticket. That's what I'm planning to do, along with a few other goodies. The ones that I am making are gifts for my kids' teachers and therapists, because special needs. This is special needs life. So what we're gonna do first is we're going to grab some batting, grab some fat quarters, and do some quilting. So what I'm gonna do first is press out this fat quarter because it's been folded up for who knows how long, and we'll get started. Alright, as you can see, I'm not pinning this, I'm not spray basting this, because I don't have anything on the back. I'm just going to be quilting the fat quarter to the batting with my walking foot for this one. So let's go get that done. Okay, what I'm using to quilt this is some beautiful red Glide 40 weight in the spool over here. I also have a white Glide 40 weight in the bobbin, and all I'm going to do is just drop this needle back tack a little and stitch my way across the fabric. Because honestly, most of this is probably going to get cut away anyhow. Now you see I'm running out of room over here. I'll show you what I do when I reach this corner. Okay. Oh no! There's not enough over here. That's okay. You come down here and continue. Remember, it's supposed to be fun. now we're going to spin it around and come finish off this side. This one I'm starting a little in because if I start out here beyond these little fuzzies down here on the selvage edge, it will catch those and it will flip, and nobody needs that. Nobody needs to hear me cursing on this channel, I promise. Alright, we've quilted it this way. I'm going to go ahead and quilt it long ways as well. Just kind of start over here in the middle somewhere. Alright, we have our quilting done. Nice and light. Nice and light on the back. But now what do we need? Well, I have an answer. We need a template. This template I got from the Crafty Gemini on her website. She also has a couple of videos about making stockings. Now, mind you, the original template is full size, as in full size stockings, which I have made before. What I did was shrink this template down to 40%. Because I'm not trying to make full-size stockings. I'm trying to make roughly half-size stockings. So, what do we do next? I'll show you. Okay. So, we've got our quilted piece, our outside. We've got our template. What we do now is we put our template where we want it on our outside piece, and we're going to trace around it. I'm using a friction pin that will go away with heat, but this isn't really going to matter because it's going to be on the inside of the stocking anyway. This is our cut line. So I'm tracing all the way around my template for the first time. Now, a very important note. Do not take this template and move it over here and trace around it and think you're going to get a stocking, because you're not. You take this template and you flip it over because you need a mirror image in order to get two sides to a stocking. Okay? So I moved it, I flipped it. Now I'm marking it out again. Now we have two sides to our stocking. So when we put them together, they will actually look like a sock. Okay? Now what about a lining? Because yes, we will need a lining. And here's the nice part about this. I chose to use just some muslin, inexpensive. I actually got this at Walmart when they were clearing out bolts in my local store, and got this for $1 a yard, so go me. Got that a few months ago. Now this muslin right here is doubled up so that I can just mark out my shape, mark around my template. Once again, these are my cut lines. And by marking on one side, since this is doubled over, I can just take a couple of pins and pop through here. It'll keep both of my sides together. And I can go around this with my rotary cutter. I'm confident enough to do that. Now, for those of you who are not, because I'm using just a plain muslin, I can lay this on here like this and it will be 100% fine. If you chose to use a single layer, you could do this, okay? And it would be just fine as long as it's the same on both sides like this muslin. If you chose to put a print inside on one layer, you would again need to flip the template over so that your sides would match. You want pretty sides to pretty sides. Just like with the outside, you want the batting or interfacing, your choice, to face each other and the pretty sides facing out. Okay? So, like I said, because I am confident enough with my rotary cutter, I can just do this just like so. And I can cut around these shapes with my rotary cutter very carefully, following the line. And it's not a big deal. If you are using a single layer of of a print, or you're not confident with your rotary cutter enough to cut around without cutting yourself or hurting yourself in some way, by all means, use scissors. By all means, use scissors and do one shape at a time, because I probably bet you're not making as many as I am. In my case, I'm going to grab a couple more pins. I'm going to pop them through here. And I'm good to go, because I can just cut right here so I don't have a bunch of other stuff distracting me while I'm trying to cut out my shapes. So, this is what we need to begin. We need some fat quarters, we need some batting. Scrap batting is good if you have it big enough. We need a template, a pen of some sort, a marking utensil, and a sewing machine just to start. Now what I'm going to do next is change my foot, cut out my shapes, and when I come back here in a little bit, we're going to make a stocking. Let's get our stockings cut out. I'm starting with the lining. Like I said, I'm just going to split that in half, because I have one sock to worry about at a time. Now, where's that over there? Okay, here's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with the straight edges. So I'm going to take and line a ruler up right here. And I went and grabbed a 28mm blade. And I'm just going to start right here and cut up like that. Easy peasy. Now I'm going to turn it. I'm going to move this out of the way a bit. I'm going to come over here. Make sure this is nice and flat as I can get it. And I'm going to cut this top section. There's that. Now you can see where the line starts to veer off away from my ruler. See, I'm not quite on the line there, but that's okay. That's okay. Not a big thing. Now what I'm going to do is come back to this side. And you see I'm a good ways away from my fingers. But I'm using my fingers to help keep my fabric nice and flat and stiff. Or at least as stiff as fabric can be. Considering this is muslin. And it's okay to cut off these little bitty pieces if we need to. It's fine. It doesn't matter. As long as I'm getting and keeping this shape over here. It's also okay to pick your ruler or pick your cutter up if your fabric starts bunching up or bubbling up in front of your blade. Especially because there's no ruler there to hold it down. Okay. So you see, I'm still a good way away from my fingers. See? Now we have just that little bit right there that's away from our line. And I know my pins are there, but I can take my ruler back now and cut off that little bitty bit. And now with my rotary cutter that I've now closed, I have two sides to my lining. Okay? If you're doing it with scissors and you're doing it one piece at a time, that's perfectly fine. It's no biggie. Alright? You do you. When it comes to this and your safety and how you want to do things, that's completely up to you and it's perfectly fine. I'm just going to leave those pinned together. And now I'm going to bring over the outsides of my fabric. Okay. Now this, I'm cutting one piece at a time. Nip that string off right there before it starts bugging me. Alright. Now once again, I'm just going to cut this in half. Doesn't matter how straight it is as long as I have two halves at the end. Okay. One of these I will cut with scissors. One of them I will cut with my rotary cutter. And since I've been cutting with my rotary cutter, we're going to start there. I'm going to set that over there. Now I'm going to show you to do with scissors. Okay, so with the scissors, I'm going to start down here at the toe, and I'm just going to come in and cut around this line. I'm just taking my time. Now I'm all the way up here. Flip that out of the way. Still following the line. This time, I'm just going to nip that off. It's getting in the way, and I'm going to need to be able to get all this without anything in the way. I'm going real slow again around this curve, manipulating my fabric and my scissors, because those inside curves, it doesn't matter if they're fabric, if they're paper, doesn't matter. They're always a little bit tricky when you're cutting with scissors. And then back around and off the toe. And there we have it. We have two sides of our stocking. We have two sides of our lining. And we have an optional piece of fabric for a little hanger. You know how most stockings are hung above the mantle with care? You can make a little hanger to go on. That's completely optional. As you can see, this one does not have one. But it's completely optional, and it's cute. It's a fun thing to do. And hey, this one is peppermints. Okay. Now I've got this all done, and I'm ready to head back to the sewing machine and get this stitched up. Okay, before I go back to the machine, I'm going to show you how to fold this so that it becomes a cute little hanger for your stocking. Okay, here we go. So we have our piece. This is 2 inches by 6 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold the outside edges to the center, just like you were making a bag strap. Just like you were making a bag strap. Pull it off, a little warm. And I'm going to fold the whole thing in half. Like I said, it's a little bit warm. Okay, it's not super duper doing what I would like it to right now. That's okay, because we're going to stitch it closed. Alright, let's go to the machine. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do over here is make this little hanger behave. Please remember, it does not have to be perfect, because mine sure as heck ain't gonna be. So the first thing I do is seal that end. I seal that so it's not gonna go anywhere, it's not gonna open up, it's gonna behave whether it wants to or not. I'm not worried about strings, not worried about nothing. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stitch my lining fabric. Now I'm going to start at about 1/4 inch. I'm going to start over here. I'm going to leave a space about like this open, and since I no longer need those pins where they were, because I have this attached to my sewing machine, I'm going to leave an opening two and a half, 3 inches, and I'm going to stitch this until I get to here, and then I'm going to come back and stitch it up here, making sure that I back tack and turn down my stitch length. Come on, Heather, use your brain. And now I'm going to swing in a little further, because this needs to go inside the stocking. As you can see, I'm actually pretty far off. Where I really need to be. Alright, I'm going to come up to this pin. I'm going to cut thread. I'm going to come up to this pin. Make sure my needle lands on this side of the pin. I just sewed over a pin, y'all. Whoops. And I'm going to swing back out to 1/4 inch. Okay. Now I don't need the pins anymore. What I do need is the snip. One of them days, y'all. It's one of them days. Now, as you can see, this is really not where I wanted it to be, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I will get better, because why? I'm doing more of these. Alright, so we're going to put our lining to the side for right now. And now we're going to get our stocking, and we're going to put it right sides together. Okay? Right sides together. And this one we're going to sew with just about 3/8 of a seam. No, we'll sew it with 1/4 inch. I'm used to 1/4 inch, it's fine. Now I'm slowing down because I'm coming to this curve. See, I told you I'd get better. Once again, not perfect, but it's okay. Now I sewed way down for that inside curve, and I suggest you do too. And come up to the end. Back tack, cut your threads, and this is cute. This inside corner right here, I'm going to take my snips, and I'm going to cut not quite to the seam. I don't want to cut the stitches. I just want to cut a couple of little notches in here. So that when we turn this right side out, it'll play nice. Okay. Now, ready? We're going to flip the outside, right side out. And now we have the outside of our stocking. Okay, now what I'm going to do with this interior portion is what is called grading the seam. I'm going to start down here because I need to leave this. You'll see why at the end. I'm going to grade this down about 1/4 of an inch. Maybe a little less. It's fine. Just using my little snips. Okay, now the next thing we need to do is we need to turn our lining right sides out, pretty side out for any of you who are using a print, and we need to stuff it inside the wrong side out exterior of our stocking. Ready? Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that my top up here is even with the top of the stocking, and my seams match the exterior seams. And now I'm going to take my little hanging tab and stick it right here in between the lining and the exterior. And now I'm going to sew it. And I have switched machines to a machine that I think will get me a little bit better. This is Fitz. fits is my Singer Quantum 9960. The entire reason that I bought my Juki. Why? Because it gave me fits. And it wasn't pretty. So let's get this stitched up. I tested one a little bit ago. It's working. So far so good today. So we'll see if it will keep up doing that. Hang on. Now I'm putting this underneath my needle. I want to start where I have those sticking out. And I'm going fairly slow. Fitz has had a 1.5 year long vacation. So he better come out and do a little work, right? And I'm making sure that I can adjust this liner as I go a little bit. Because even though I still can't fit this around the free arm because it's so small, such a small project, I can still see it better than I can on my Juki. I have a little more room to work. Now, shh, I don't want my Juki being all mad at me when I get it back out to do the bulk of the work on these. But Fitz seems to be doing a pretty good job right now, so we're going to give him some kudos. So basically all he is going to do is the finishing and the top stitching to finish these up. Because for some reason, he's decided he wants to work. Okay. Let's come back over here. Okay, now we have our stocking assembled. We have the lining sewn into the exterior. What we're going to do now is we're going to flip it out. If I can get a hold of it. So now everything here is wrong side out. Everything. Now what we're going to do is flip it right side out. If you're a bag maker, this is much like birthing a bag without the zipper. Because who wants to put a zipper in a stocking? Not me. Not me. That's too complicated for such a simple project. Yes, another day, another stocking. When I realized my brain wasn't working. Okay, now I'm going to flip the lining. I see a spot over here that doesn't want to curve out nicely like I would like it to. So I'm going to come over here with my finger and just press that seam from the inside out until it lays nice and flat and quits being stubborn. Alright, now before we do anything else, we're going to go press, and then we'll come back and seal up this hole that we've left in the lining. Okay, so we got this, it's all nice, it's all laid out. Got it pressed how we want it, how it's good, making sure it's gonna behave. All I'm doing is doing a nice top press on this, making sure everything is nice and flat. And that I actually want to go up that way because it's going to point up at the top. Yes, hot. That's hot. Alright, let's go close this opening, and then we'll stuff this lining inside the stocking. Now this time I left pretty big opening. Just makes it easier to get my hands in there, and now I'm sewing about 1/8 of an inch seam to close this. It's going to be on the inside of the stocking. Nobody's really going to see it. So I just close that up, stitching starting before it and stopping after it. So we have just a nice now closed seam. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this lining and stuff it inside the stocking. Now we've got that. And then the last thing that we want to do is top stitch this. This is why I brought out Fit before, because it's much easier to do on a machine with a free arm. So I'm just going to go really, really slowly and make sure that I'm not catching anything that I don't want to catch. Underneath. I'm just going really slow. And we're almost back around where we started. Alright. And there we have a lovely top stitch stocking. Not perfect. You can see it waved a little bit here, but that's because I don't have a free arm over here, and so I don't have quite as much room to work. So that's my own fault. And there we have a finished stocking. Actually, several at this point, such as this one. I did a little free motion for practice to check some things. Now, remember, the template that I'm sending you to over at the Crafty Geminis is a full-size template for a full-size stocking. As you can see, this one I did really scrappy, and I did an attempt at stitching the ditch. This is actually my younger son's, and I made it a couple of years ago when my daughter destroyed things. Yes, she does that. Anyhow, what I did to make these this size is I shrunk the template down to about 40% and printed it out that way so that I could get one stocking out of one fat quarter and one fat quarter size piece of batting. And again, for my lining, I just used a really simple muslin this came out really, really nice. And I highly doubt y'all will be making as many as I am. So if you want to make a full-size stocking, go for it. It's fun, it's fast, it's beautiful or adorable. Take your pick. But anyhow, that is how we make a small Christmas stocking. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave me a comment, let me know, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.